She left you in peace, but somehow it doesn't feel like peace at all, does it? It feels like she walked out with pieces of you that you're still trying to gather. Maybe you've been telling yourself you're fine, that you're strong, that you don't need her, but when everything gets quiet, your mind goes straight back to her. If this is you, you're not alone. Maybe this feels familiar. You keep replaying the last conversation, trying to figure out where it actually went wrong. You keep wondering if she ever cared the way she said she did. You keep checking your phone even though you swear you're done with that. It's like she left, but her absence is louder than her presence ever was. And deep down, there's this painful question you don't say out loud. Why did she get to walk away so easily while you're the one drowning in the fallout? If this is you, breathe. You're not broken. You're just in the part of the story where everything hurts before anything makes sense. Maybe you've started to notice something unsettling. She didn't leave with confidence. She left with confusion. That forced smile, that sudden silence, that strange mix of distance and guilt. It wasn't strength, it was fear. Fear that you might actually move on. Fear that she might have misjudged you. Fear that she walked away from the one man who would have never walked away from her. If this is you, you're starting to see it. Her peace wasn't real peace. It was temporary escape. And sooner or later, that escape ends. Sooner or later, reality hits her harder than the silence ever hit you. So here's the question that's about to flip everything you thought you knew about this breakup. What happens when the woman who walked away thinking she'd be fine suddenly realizes she's the one who can't live with the consequences? Most men get this moment completely wrong. She leaves, everything goes quiet, and they panic. They think her silence means finality, that her calm exit means she's already moved on. But if you're thinking like that, you're giving your power away without even realizing it. A woman may leave you in peace, but that doesn't mean she has peace within herself. And that distinction is everything. Right now, you need to hear this from someone who's been there. Someone who's seen the pattern repeat over and over. Her exit isn't the end of the story unless you let it be. Most men chase, over-explain, plead, or try to fix things because they can't handle the discomfort of uncertainty. They mistake her distance for rejection, and their fear makes them act like a version of themselves they don't even respect. And every time a man does that, he reinforces the one belief that ruins him, the belief that her emotions define his value. Here's the masculine principle that flips the whole situation on its head. One most men never learn until it's too late. A man who holds his ground gives a woman the space to feel the truth of losing him. Not by force, not by manipulation, but by the quiet, steady reality of a man who chooses himself even when it hurts. A woman can walk away from you, but she cannot walk away from the experience of you, and that experience hits hardest when you're not chasing her to remind her of it. So don't misread this moment. Her leaving in peace doesn't mean she's certain. It means she's searching. And whether she returns in pieces or not depends far less on what she feels today and far more on how you carry yourself right now. The night she walked out, the house didn't even slam shut behind her. No yelling, no chaos, just that soft click of the door like she was trying not to wake a sleeping world. You stood there in the stillness listening to her footsteps fade and wondering why the quiet hurt more than any argument ever could. The air felt different after she left. Heavy, cold. You could hear the hum of the refrigerator, the faint traffic outside, even your own heartbeat thudding in your chest, slow, stubborn, refusing to match the speed of your thoughts. Is this really how it ends? Just silence? You sat down, hands clasped, staring at the empty space on the couch where she used to pull her knees up and laugh at things you didn't find funny until she laughed. You tried to be strong, tried to breathe evenly, tried to convince yourself that her leaving was a kind of peace, a clean break, a quiet goodbye. But the truth, nothing about it felt peaceful. You caught yourself replaying the way her eyes shifted at the door, like she was looking at the floor, not because she didn't care, but because she couldn't face what she was walking away from. That tiny tremble in her breath, that hesitation before she turned the handle, the moment that felt less like goodbye and more like running. As the hours passed, you felt something unexpected settle into your chest. Not panic, not desperation, something steadier, something almost ancient. If she can leave this easily, maybe she was never meant to stay. You didn't text, you didn't chase, you didn't rehearse what you'd say if she changed her mind. You just sat there letting the silence teach you things you'd ignored for too long. Meanwhile, somewhere across town, she was replaying her own version of the night. That same silence that felt peaceful to you now started breaking her apart piece by piece. The bed felt too big, the mirror felt too honest. The freedom she thought she wanted suddenly felt like free fall. She left you in peace, but she's the one who'll return in pieces because the moment she stepped into that quiet, she finally heard the truth she'd been trying to outrun. A lot of men carry beliefs that quietly destroy them from the inside, especially when a woman walks away calmly. And you might be carrying them too, not because you're weak, but because no one ever told you the truth. The first false belief is thinking her peaceful exit means she's emotionally ahead of you. that she's already moved on, already found someone else, already closed the book. But her calm doesn't mean closure. It often means she doesn't want to face the impact of losing you yet. Women don't always fall apart on the way out. Sometimes they crumble on the way back. The second belief is thinking it's your job to fix what she broke. Men assume that if they say the right thing or reach out enough times, they can repair the situation. But that only teaches her that you'll carry the emotional load for both of you. You're not responsible for smoothing the path she chose to walk away from. Here's the truth you've been avoiding. You don't have to chase someone to prove your worth. You don't have to rescue someone from the consequences of their own decisions. When you stop trying to hold everything together, that's when she starts feeling the weight of what she let go. Use these if they hit you. She didn't ghost you. You disappeared from yourself. She left quietly because she didn't want to hear the truth that she was leaving the one man who never left her. You're not here to carry her confusion. You're here to stand in your clarity. And that's exactly why she'll return in pieces. Because the moment you stop believing these lies, she's forced to face the truth she tried to avoid. The 3% man moves differently because he thinks differently. He doesn't react from fear. He responds from clarity. And when a woman leaves him in peace, he doesn't crumble under the illusion that she's already gone for good. He understands the deeper truth. This is what he understands. A woman's exit doesn't define his value. Her silence doesn't dictate his direction, and her distance isn't a verdict on his worth. He knows emotions are temporary, confusion happens, and people run from the very stability they claim to want. Instead of making her choices mean something about him, he lets them reveal something about her. Most men feel abandoned. The 3% man feels awakened. This is how he leads with presence, not pressure. He doesn't chase because he doesn't need to. He's rooted, he's grounded, he allows the space between them to speak louder than any speech he could give, not as a strategy, but as a reflection of who he is. A man who chooses self-respect over reassurance. A man who can sit with uncertainty without trying to control it. A man who understands that her leaving may be emotional, but his response must be intentional. He sees the situation for what it truly is. She left because she thought peace would come from distance. But he knows real peace comes from alignment, and he refuses to abandon his just to soothe her confusion. The 3% man isn't cold. He isn't attached. He simply trusts himself enough to let the story unfold without forcing it. And that's why she returns in pieces. Because the strength she felt confident walking away from becomes the strength she realizes she can't replace. There comes a night, quiet, unremarkable, almost painfully ordinary, when something inside you finally shifts. Because the pain is gone, not because she's come back, and not because time magically healed anything. It happens in the middle of the same silence that used to choke you, the same empty room that once felt like proof you weren't enough. But tonight, it feels different. You're sitting there just breathing, and you suddenly realize you're not waiting anymore. Not for her name to light up your phone, not for an apology, not for closure dressed as a message that will never come. You realize you're not frozen. You've simply been healing in slow motion, and somewhere in that stillness, a truth rises that you had forgotten. You were whole before she ever knew your name. It hits you like a soft echo returning after months of being lost in the dark. You feel it in your chest, warm and steady, like a memory resurfacing, the memory of a man who existed long before heartbreak tried to remake him. You look around the room, same walls, same silence, but you're no longer the same man. You're breathing differently, sitting differently, thinking differently. You're no longer bargaining with the past. You're reclaiming the parts of yourself you gave away too easily, too quickly, too blindly. And in that moment, you understand something she never saw. You weren't abandoned. You were revealed. Your strength, your depth, your capacity to feel and still stand tall. That's when everything changes, not outside you, inside. You rise from the place you once stayed stuck. You walk through the silence she left behind. And for the first time, you feel the weight shift from loss to liberation. She left you in peace, but you're the one returning, whole. She walked away thinking she was free, but you stayed, and in staying, you became the man she could never forget.